What if I told you that the United States went to war with Vietnam over an attack that never actually happened? Not allegedly never happened, not disputed. The NSA's own historian wrote that the evidence was deliberately skewed. The Secretary of Defense who presented that evidence to Congress admitted it on camera before he died, and Congress voted 416-0 to authorize a war based on it. 58,220 Americans died. Nobody was prosecuted, nobody lost their rank, nobody lost their pension. The analyst who skewed the data retired quietly. The Secretary of Defense wrote a book. Now here's what I need you to understand before we go any further. This is not the exception. This is the pattern, and I'm going to show it to you 4 times. Let's get into it. Before we get into the evidence, I want to be precise about something, because precision is the only thing that separates this channel from a conspiracy channel. Not everything I'm about to show you is equal. Some of it is proven, documents, congressional records, sworn admissions. Some of it is a question, credible experts, then evidence, no definitive answer yet. I will tell you which is which. But here's what connects all of it. Every single time, proven or questioned, the accountability mechanism produced a report. And the report went into a drawer. That pattern is not a theory, that pattern is the story. August 4th, 1964. President Johnson goes on national television and tells the American people that U.S. destroyers have been attacked twice in the Gulf of Tonkin by North Vietnamese torpedo boats. The first attack, August 2nd, was real, a minor skirmish, no American casualties. The second attack, the one that mattered, never happened. The NSA declassified over 140 internal documents in 2005. Their own historian, Robert Hanyok, wrote that intelligence officers had, and I'm quoting directly, deliberately skewed the evidence to make an attack appear real. In 2003, Robert McNamara, the man who stood before Congress and presented that evidence, sat on camera for a documentary and said it didn't happen. Congress voted 416-0 for a war that started with a fabricated naval battle. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. The NSA analyst who skewed the data retired quietly. McNamara wrote a memoir. The Gulf of Tonkin documents are available right now on the National Archives website. You can read them this afternoon. And the 58,220 names on that wall in Washington, not one person was ever held accountable for putting them there. Not one. Now here's what I need you to understand. This isn't uniquely American. 1954, Cairo, Egypt. A network of operatives planted bombs inside American and British buildings, post offices, cinemas, and a library. The goal was to make it look like Egyptian nationalists were attacking Western institutions to convince the US and UK to keep their troops in Egypt. One of the bombers was caught when his device exploded prematurely in his own pocket. The operatives were Israeli agents. The operation was authorized at the level of the Israeli Defense Ministry. Israel denied it officially for 51 years. In 2005, 51 years later, Israel held a formal state ceremony and issued government commendations to the surviving agents who planted the bombs. Not a prosecution, a commendation. Agents of an allied government planted bombs in American-affiliated buildings to deceive the United States into a military posture that served their interests, not ours. And the official response? 5 decades later, was a ceremony. Sound familiar? Now we move from what we know to what we're still being asked to take on faith. After September 11th, the FBI vastly expanded its use of informants inside American Muslim communities. In 2014, Human Rights Watch and Columbia Law School, not a Reddit thread, 2 of the most credible institutions in American legal research, released a joint report. 2 years of work. Their finding? In the majority of high-profile domestic terrorism cases, a government informant or undercover agent was directly involved in the plot. A Mother Jones investigation analyzed 508 terrorism-related cases. 243 involved FBI informants. In multiple cases, the Newburgh 4, the Liberty City 7, the FBI informant provided the weapons. They provided the financing, and they identified the target, built the operational plan. The defendants had no prior terrorist activity, no independent capability, and no independent means. Federal judges used the word entrapment in their rulings. The Human Rights Watch report was published. Columbia Law School put their name on it, and Congress held no hearings on the methodology. No FBI director was asked to explain it under oath. The report exists. The question it raises exists. The accountability for answering it does not. Here's the question nobody in the official record bothers to ask. If the government provides the bomb, the money, the target, and the timeline, and then arrests someone for agreeing to use it, who stopped a terrorist attack? And who created one? 2008, the financial crisis wiped out $13 trillion in American household wealth, 8 million jobs, millions of foreclosures, regular people who never attended a single meeting where any of these decisions were made. The Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigation spent 2 years on it, 150 witness interviews, 635 pages. Their conclusion? Goldman Sachs sold mortgage products to clients they internally called, and I'm quoting from their own emails, crap and shitty deals, while simultaneously betting against those same products. Goldman's CEO testified under oath before Congress that Goldman did not bet against its clients. The Senate held its own emails as evidence that they had. The Senate made a formal criminal referral to the Department of Justice. The DOJ declined to prosecute. Goldman paid a $550 million civil settlement, no admission of guilt, no individual charges. Lloyd Blankfein retired in 2018 with an estimated net worth of $1.1 billion. In plain English, the Senate found the evidence, handed it to the prosecutors, and the prosecutors put it in a drawer. Now here's the question nobody in the history books bothers to ask. If a 635-page Senate report with the defendant's own emails wasn't enough to prosecute, what evidence would be? Let's talk about the aftermath. The NSA analysts who fabricated the Gulf of Tonkin evidence retired quietly. The agents who bombed American buildings received a state commendation. The FBI directors who oversaw the informant programs kept their pensions. The Goldman executives who sold products they called crap paid a civil fine and kept their billions. In every case, someone knew. In every case, there was a record, a document, a report, a Senate referral, a sworn testimony. And in every case, the institution that would have had to prosecute was either the same institution that did it or an institution that depended on the one that did it. This is not a conspiracy. A conspiracy requires secrecy. These things are not secret. The documents are on the National Archives website. The Senate report has the Senate seal on the cover. The Human Rights Watch report is available to download right now. The pattern isn't hidden. It's sitting on a shelf, and nobody is asking why. Here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying every government action is a fabrication. I'm not saying every official explanation is a lie. What I'm saying has a paper trail. We know, not theorize, know that governments have manufactured threats to justify wars, planted bombs and blamed enemies, built criminal cases on evidence their own agents manufactured. And we know that the institutions designed to investigate those abuses have, more than once, declined to do so. The ones I showed you today are the ones where the documents came out. The question I'll leave you with is simple. Given what we know about what happened, what is the correct level of skepticism to apply to the next official explanation? Not paranoia, skepticism. The kind that asked, who benefits? And who decided I don't get to see it? That's not a conspiracy theory. That's citizenship. If this connected some dots, that's what this channel is for. Subscribe because we're just getting started.